Hey, blessings, everybody. So, for the last week, I've been working with Coyote energy, and I thought about sharing with you my method of touching in and fusing my consciousness with another. So, this is my method. This is what I do. First and foremost, I learn everything I can possibly about this subject. So, for this week, I've been working with Coyote specifically. So, I've done everything I can, watching documentaries, getting books from the library, learning everything about their physical environment, about the world, the way that they interact with the world, the characteristics, the qualities, the attributes that we attribute to it. So with the coyote, some of them is adaptability, survival, cunning, ingenious, trickster. They have, just having fun, being cautious, and yet being bold at the same time. There's just so many different qualities that as we watch the coyote in its natural environment that we can recognize within them. So I learn everything I can about that, and then I begin to research the metaphysical and the spiritual and the energetic and esoteric qualities attributed to them. So how they were used in medicines, and how they were used in rituals and spells and shamanism, totems. So I learn everything I can in that regard, and then I seek out different stories. Being that I live in the Cowlitz territories, I learn about those stories first. How was the coyote understood and felt and experienced in the place that I live? And then as I go from there, I branch off into other Native Americans and then other cultures, and I just read different stories, and it's amazing to see these threads of commonality between various cultures and their stories about the coyote. So it's pretty cool. So then after that, I seek to acquire something that is connected with that energy. So in this case, I wanted to connect with coyote, so I acquired a coyote skull. And sometimes this just comes from, I purchased this from a fur and hide store, but sometimes it'll just, I'll walk across a path and come across the feather I need, or someone offers me a badger claw, or so like different times. I've had a friend give me a eagle feather, so these, and right at those times where I was connecting with these energies, with these beings, with these animals. So all right, so I acquire some object that is actually physically connected with what I'm focusing on, in this case the coyote. So, and this is helpful because you should actually, like, this is a physical representation, like its energy is imbued and shaped and formed this specific being, this specific manifestation of energy, right? And so even though the animal has moved on and and transformed, and this object still retains some of its energy until it disintegrates and then becomes part of something else. But at this point, it still retains that energy. So it helps me physically, tangibly, because it's not just in the mind, right? When we're talking about consciously fusing and experiencing another energy and entity, being's experience in reality, and touch in with its medicine and gain its power, not only are we, it's a mental thing, right? Yes, it's a mental thing. That's because that's where primarily our cluster of most complex form of consciousness resides, whereas the most intense self-awareness, we have the depth of conscious experience. And of course, consciousness is not, it's not like, this is not consciousness, the water inside this bottle, right? It's just that this vessel contains a certain level of consciousness, shall we say. I love living water. So it's not only from the conscious perspective, right? So we're seeking to experience the conscious experience of the coyote itself, in this case. Like I'm seeking to experience its reality. So not only is there's this conscious sense of conscious transference, or shape shifting from the mental plane, but we're also seeking to physically, tangibly affect our being itself, you know. And so this enables me to really touch in with its energy, with the coyote's energy. And so that's the second step, right? First step is learn as much as I can from as very different sources to get as well-rounded perspective and understanding of this creature, coyote, or whatever it is we're focusing on, right? Second step is to acquire some physical, tangible thing. Like if I'm working with a stone and I'm seeking to integrate a crystalline structure and that energy within myself, then I would get that stone. Or if it's a plant, and it's a whole bunch of different things. Like if you work with plants, I make teas out of it, or I'll smoke a little bit of it, or have a satchel of it around me. Just always keeping the energy around me as I'm working on it. So if I've been working with Coyote for a week, so I'm pretty much always around Coyote. I'm wanting that energy to be. I want to saturate myself within that energy as much as possible. All right, so that's step 2. Step 3 now is to actually begin the process of meditative absorption. And so this is Patanjali Yoga Sutra really has a very solid system of that, of tracing the stages of meditative absorption, or what's called samadhi in the yogic traditions, which is just this fusion of subject-object into a sense of pure beingness, where all the dichotomies and all dualities and all that stuff drops away, and there's just this experience of being. And so basically this method, all right, so this is stage 3, is to now withdraw your senses. Stop focusing on the outside and bring your awareness in. And I'm a feeler the way that I feel, so I'm just feeling. I'm feeling the experience, right? And first the tangible physical sense, but then as you get more and more rarefied and more finely tuned, it becomes just an energy, an experience of energy. And I'm wanting my energy to exchange with the coyote's energy. I'm wanting that, so I'm encouraging it. That's part of my thinking processes. As I'm seeking, I'm wondering, what is it about coyote? What attributes does it have? I'm starting to think about it, right? So I'm bringing my focus. The first aspect is to bring your intention inward and to integrate, focus on what you're seeking. And now I'm really just bringing my attention onto coyote, and I'm seeking to recall the different qualities that I've learned about coyote. I think about my experiences, because I've had, in the accompanying writing, I talk about some of my experiences that I've had with coyote in life. And so I'm recalling all these, and I'm seeking to touch in with that experience, with that being, with coyote. I'm seeking to remember the feelings. I'm seeking to open myself up and to start to experience reality, and I'm directing my mind. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm directing my mind. What is it like to be coyote? And so I start to think, and I get on my fours. This is working with totems, with animals. I'll actually seek to mimic its motions, mimic its characteristics. But like with a stone or a plant, I'm not really doing too much of this. Maybe with plants, I'm swerving. I definitely, one time I touched in with some river grass and with the tree, and so there's that sense of connecting with that natural motion. And then the earth, the couple of times that I actually experienced that was just a real slow, like clay being smushed together. Oh wait for this little scooter to pass by. What was I saying? Okay, so yeah, I seek to put myself into as close of alignment with the object of my focus as possible. And so now I start to actually get on all fours. And as you watch documentaries, and a couple times I've seen them in the wild, I watch their behaviors, I watch their pace, I watch their walk. I learn about what they do. So, for example, a couple of the things that I noticed is when an alpha comes into a kill area and is pushing everybody out so you can get the the rights to the first meat. They twist their body. It's interesting. Like he twists his torso and his tail. The tail's kind of in tucked in, and he's like growling and pushing at people, and this like really interesting twisting, which is, it seems almost he's, I don't know, it's an awkward position to come in from an attack for sure. But so that's something I noticed when they're going for squirrels and things like that. They'll hop and they'll push down on the ground, which is really cool. So you learn we gain that understanding and perception of how they are physically, and so we mimic these things, and then also start to integrate in the sounds. So that's an important aspect as well. And one of the things that I did on the at night, what I just had on my cell phone, just the sounds of coyotes hollering and stuff, which was really cool. I did that on the second night. On the first night, when I began my ritual, because we have coyotes around here, and they just started hollering, and calling out right at that moment, which was really powerful. And so I start to mimic the sounds as well, and I'm not going to do that here, just because it's more of a it's more of connecting with the energy and not so much worrying about the sound. So I'm not wanting to distract this talk by making me up my own squeaks and stuff, but the idea is that we're doing the motions, and we're calling out, and we're imagining what reality is like through the lens of the coyote. And as we move into, from the yogic perspective, we withdraw the senses, and we bring our attention and focus, and we start to connect with the coyote. And then as we move into this, we get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, totally enmeshed until the consciousness starts to meld together. And so there's this experience and this exchange of energy and conscious perception of reality. And at that moment, that's where where we consider like the third eye opening up, that aspect of the mind expanding and experiencing reality beyond the sensual body, right? So we start to experience reality through the coyote. And at that point, there is a sense of energetic exchange and conscious experience. And with that comes change, comes power, comes magic. That's the beautiful thing about that, is because there's actually a melding of energy. And so then as we come back into our body, there's a piece of the coyote that comes with us, and that then we imbue within our being, and we learn to integrate within our lives. And so now we've gained power from the coyote, and wisdom, and the things that we seek, right? What was I going in to connect with the coyote, right? What was that? What was I seeking? So that's the process. And then if you continue on with the meditation, and you get deep enough into it, a point's reached where there's just a total fusion of energy, and then that is you're just coyote, and it's pretty powerful. So that's my method. I'm just going to say it real quick. Basically, learn as much as you can, acquire some energy that is directly connected with what you're focusing on, and the more the merrier. You're totally wanting to saturate and surround yourself with the energy and really touch in with it in a physical way. Step 3 is to begin to think about all the characteristics and the qualities and any memories and experiences you had directly with the coyote. And so now you're really bringing in all that intellectual understanding into the moment, and you're really like considering it, touching in with it, experiencing it, And slowly, as you fully saturate yourself with this energy, then getting into mimicking its sounds and motions is bringing in the senses, so just coming into yourself, and then just totally continue to saturate over and over, imagining what it is. When I was working with Coyote, I started to experience reality through my nose, which was really cool. I started to smell subtleties that I wasn't, conscious of before. My hearing became more acute or astute, and I was like able to really pick out in my environment what was going on, little sounds. So you're wanting to imbue yourself within that energy, right? And you continue to focus in on, bring your focus in, bring your focus in, bring your focus in, and then there's that point of energetic exchange, and there's no mistaking it. Like when you've had that experience, there's you know what I'm talking about. So, but this is the process that I utilize in pretty much all the different, working with rune yoga, working with animals, working with plants, working with planetary energies, elemental energies, everything that I've ever worked with. This is the means that I do to really touch in with it, because I'm all about integrating in energies within myself, not just experiencing them, but becoming, opening myself up and becoming more empowered, and all that good stuff. So blessings, and till next video.